you should be careful with the words that you choose. Words have power. Words can start a war, or words can make you fall in love. You've got to choose the right words. Can I tell you a story? A few days ago, I was at an event down at the university and I bumped into a wonderful young woman named Iris. And I've known her for a number of years, and she stopped me and said, "Oh, Adam, I have to tell you something, and this might be the biggest compliment that you'll hear all day." Well, as you can imagine, I was very excited to hear a nice, big compliment. She said, "Maybe you won't remember, but several years ago you came into my classroom and gave me a lesson on public speaking." I said, "Well, yes, I remember, but that was years ago." "Well," she said, "do you remember in that lesson you taught how to introduce yourself in an impactful way?" Well, yes, of course. Introductions are important. They're the first impression that you ever get. And a lot of people introduce themselves in the wrong way, in a boring way. Maybe you've experienced it. You know, when someone says, "Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves," and all you get is, "Hello, my name's Stephen, and I've been in the accounting department for the last 15 years. Something like that. Boring. When you introduce yourself like that, nobody even remembers your name. Who the hell cares about Stephen from accounts? How many times have you been to one of those meetings where you meet a whole bunch of new people and then within 2 minutes, you've just forgotten everybody's name? The magic trick to memorable introductions that I taught Iris is that she should change things around and start her introduction with something that's interesting, fantastic, or wonderful about her, and then tell them your name. Because you have to get their attention first so that they want to remember who you really are. Be interesting, because the most interesting people are the most memorable people. Now, luckily, Iris had paid attention to my lesson, and it turned out that a few days later, she found herself in a meeting with a new group of people, and she found herself in one of those situations where you had to go around the room and everyone had to introduce themselves, and whilst everyone else was introducing themselves in their normal, boring way, Iris decided to use my impactful technique to say something exciting first and then introduce herself. She told me it was the perfect opportunity to test out my technique, and well, it must have worked because, let me tell you, everybody remembered her. But more importantly, there was someone else in the room also listening to Iris's remarkable introduction. A very handsome young man, and it just so turns out that he fell in love with her right there on the spot, and they have been inseparable ever since. Well, I said, "Congratulations, that's wonderful news, but what's that got to do with me?" She said, "Well, after all this time, a few days ago, this wonderful boy got down on one knee and proposed." Iris was so happy. She showed me a gorgeous ring, and then she said, "You know what was incredible? In his proposal, he said that the very first moment Iris introduced herself, he knew something special, something different, something exciting was happening. He saw straight away and fell in love completely, all because of her impactful introduction." Talk about making a good first impression. And I thought, wow, well, that's fantastic. I'm so happy for both of them. I'm so blown away. What a great couple. The ultimate truth is you've got to show your best side every time. Introduce yourself in the very best way. Speak in the very best way that you can, because it's not about impressing your colleagues or coming across as confident. It's about building up life skills so that everyone will know what makes you special. Everyone has something special inside of them. You know it. The world should know it too. And if you don't speak up for yourself, nobody else will speak up for you. I love this story because it touches me on an emotional level. I'm so happy for Iris and her partner, and I wish them many happy years of good success and great communication. But what's brilliant is this. Remember to always lead with your absolute best effort, because you never know who's in the audience. Your next presentation that you give could be the next presentation that changes your life. So congratulations to Iris, and remember, if you want to tell an interesting story, live an interesting life. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to learn more public speaking skills, then I'm looking for 200 friends and fans to click subscribe, because it will mean that YouTube will show this video to even more people, and together we'll be able to help more people become better public speakers and maybe even fall in love. So please subscribe and tell others about this video if you're happy to do so, and leave a comment or a question down below. It really does help.